artists. And so that's how powerful contracts are. That's how powerful the business side is. And if you don't understand it, then you're really doing yourself a big disservice. If you don't understand the business side, then the creative side isn't gonna go anywhere. So if you just wanna be someone creative, and if that's all you wanna do, and you don't wanna learn any business aspects, then something I heard in the last presentation, you make sure you get a good team of people around you, a very good team. And that good team means you need a good manager, you need a good attorney, and if you're an artist, you need a great publicist, and you're gonna need a great agent. And those people round out your team are gonna be the ones that really help you. And so that's the power of contracts. But the basic building block that we go on as content creators is, what is it that you're doing when you create something, okay? So when you create something, you can protect it. And one of the things we're talking about today is copyrights. And I want to say a copyright, though intangible, has the same value as real properties. Copyright is called intellectual property, okay? And then you have the equivalent of real property. So if you build a house, then you have a deed and title to that house, and you can do with that house whatever you want to do. You can rent it, and you can make money. You can sell it, and you can make money. Or you could just let it appreciate, and over time, it generates a value. Well, the same thing is true about intellectual property. Intellectual property has real, tangible value. And once you create something, the very first thing you need to do is you need to claim ownership to what you created. And there's only one way that's recognized to create ownership. And there's a lot of myths out there about, well, you can do a poor man's copyright, you put it in an envelope and send it to yourself, or you can do it, register here, register there. There's only one way to protect your rights, and there's only one way to protect your property. And that's registering your copyright with the Copyright Office. No other way is gonna do that. And if you were coming into my office for a first meeting or a consultation, that's one of the first things I'm gonna ask you is, are you a writer? Are you a singer? Are you a creator? What do you do? And what have you done to protect your work? Because once you copyright your work, then that makes you in the driver's seat, and no one can use your work without your permission. No one can steal it. If they steal it, you can take them into federal court for infringement. If they want to use snippets of it, if they want to sample it, if they want to use it in a commercial, any use that is made of your works, you're in control. And there's several different types of copyrights. So before we get too technical, I'm just going to allow the other gentlemen on the panel to give their input of how valuable understanding the business of music is, and how valuable owning your intellectual property and making sure you have ownership is. And they'll tell you from experience.
All right. How many people in here are artists or want to be artists? Okay, how many are producers or songwriters? Okay. As far as understanding your worth, he is correct. The first thing that a lawyer is going to do is ask you, have you copyrighted your material and what you have going on? So if you don't have a lot going on, it's not a lot they can do for you. So it's really all about who you know in this business. And it's also, I'm the keep it real kind of guy. So you're gonna have to pay your dues. Pay your dues means that somewhere along the line, if you're going to be successful, and this is not just in the music business, this is in life, you're gonna have to give up something. You're gonna have to sacrifice something to get to where you wanna go. So that means you're going to have to believe in yourself. So that means you may have to give up a song. Okay? Is that the only song you got in you? Then you don't need to be in the music business. Because there are things you're going to have to give up. In order to get, you have to network, and you got to be where it's going on. That's a keep it real moment. You got to be where it's going on. So I thought it was great. He said you're going to need a lawyer, you're going to need an agent, you're going to need a manager and a publicist. That's what you said. Am I correct? Correct. Right. Trying to get those 4 people is not as easy as he just put it out there. Because trusting people in this business is far and few in between. I hate to say it, at some point, you're going to have to, there is no goody two-shoe way to get to where you want to go. Can I keep it real? So somebody's going to get you, or you're going to get them. That's the bottom line. Every time a deal goes down, either they're going to get you, or you're going to get them. There is no fairness in the R&B music industry. I'm the keep it real guy. All right? So I'll give you a great example. My first production was with Glenn Jones. He paid me $2,500 to come in and produce the music. I owned 50% of the song. You have 2 sides of the publishing side. You have a music side and you have a lyric side. So they're both 100%. Sometimes it's hard for people to understand. You have a music side. When you go to copyright a song, you really have 2 sides to the song. So you have a music side. Somebody created the music, and somebody created the lyrics. So if I created the music and you created the lyrics, you own 50%. All right? I own 50%. But you own 100% of the writers. See, that's where it gets a little confusing. See, you got 100% of writers. That's the part where it gets confusing for some people. You got 100% of production. Right. You got 200%.
Hold on. So what is the what is it called when you said what was broken into 2? You said the public.
Publishing. When you go to copyright or publish a song, you have.
Let me see if I can help explain it.
Okay.
What he's talking about, most hip hop songs, most R&Bs, where you have a producer who makes the music. In layman's terms, if you produce the music or if you create the music, you are the author of that music. You are the writer of that music. So in street language, people call them beats. So you can go buy beats, or you can look for a beat maker, or you can do a lot of different things with beats. But when you have a beat, you own 100, if you are the creator of that beat, you own 100% of that beat. Well, over here on the other side is you have a lyricist, you have a rapper, you have a singer, whoever, whatever it is. Well, they write lyrics to a song. So their lyrics, they created and they own 100% of those lyrics. So prior to them coming together and merging as one composition, what you have is the writer of the lyrics that owns 100% of the lyrics, and you have the writer of the music that owns 100% of the music. But when you get into the studio and you mix those together, then you have what is called a new composition. So you no longer have 2 separate pieces. You have one whole new creation, which is a new song. And that new song has 2 writers. You have the writer of the music, which owns 50% of that new song, and you have the writer of the lyrics, which own 50% of that new song. And so those writers collectively own that new composition.
Let me hit them real fast. So Me and you write a song, right? Well, I was just saying that. You wrote the lyrics, I wrote the music, right? Me and you fall out. That's still my music. That's still your lyrics. You can go to him, get some more music to your lyrics. I can go to her and get some more lyrics to my music. That's why I own 100%. Does that make sense now?
Yeah, okay.
Does it make sense? But when we put it together and we put it in a copyright, then you own 50% of the song. I own 50%. But you still own 100% of the lyrics. Unless I help you with it. Right? So if you two write the song together and I did the music, I still own 100% of the music. Y'all split the 50% of the 100% of the lyrics. But on the copyright, it's 25%. I still got 50% of the song. That makes sense now? Okay.
I'm confused. No. I'm good. Just to shed maybe a little different light on the subject, I can talk from my experience. The music industry, we were reminiscing in the back there before we started, has changed quite a bit since we set our feet into it, and the landscape's changed. You know, we were talking about records and buying records. Many of us have listened to music for years now without buying anything. It's streaming. So the ability to make money as an artist has evolved and changed, for better and for worse. It used to be that you had to hope and pray you got discovered by somebody so you could get on a label, so your song could get on the radio. You guys remember radio? You guys still have one? So the landscape has changed quite a bit now. And you know, everything you've heard, I hope you heard some of the presentations before, because it all works together. It's no longer just about the song, it's about you. You know, I heard people mention the brand. It's a whole package. And for the successful artists today, the music is just a very small piece of it. There is, you know, let's say you do write a song, you have a song that you perform. Building an audience, building relationship, so people come and pay to see you perform, there's where some income can happen. Another place from a recording, and that's the piece I know, all the work we do is, again, television, film, that sort of thing. There's music has to be licensed. If you still watch a commercial in between the game and you hear a song, it's redone, it's not the original song. You remember that song from back in the day, but now it's on a Tide commercial. The writer, you know, and publisher, they got paid to have that licensed. Or your favorite reality show that has a track in it. They're hungry to get, to be able to license songs that have an audience. That's why they're willing to spend the money, because they know you as an artist have an audience. So if I put your song in my show, your audience is going to come with it. So there's value, extreme value, in being able to license your music for broadcast, video games. There are other places where music can end up. From a technical standpoint, what you would do is be sure, you know, again, if you're a lyricist or rapper, you want to make sure you have both the complete recording, but also what we call stems. You want an instrumental track, you want just the drums, just so that that makes it more marketable, because there may be a situation in my movie where I just want to hear a little bit of your lyrics, and then the main actor starts talking, so I want to be able to duck the music under and have the instrumental. Most artists don't think about preparing the tracks that way. Again, it's called stems, and you should do that. You should ask for that if you're in a studio and you've done your track. Ask for those stems, because that's what's going to be valuable. I started my career doing music for commercials, and at the time we called them jingles. They were, you know, music and someone was singing the lyrics. Now, most of the music in commercials and a lot of television and film is instrumental. Having the instrumental tracks available is key. So again, it's a different landscape. But by all means, it doesn't negate anything that was just said. You still want to copyright, own, have a writer entity for your music, and if you can retain the publishing, that's another half of it. And so I see hands.
Then you go first. His hands up first.
Okay, so I wanted to ask about, when we talk about ownership, for example, there's a song that I don't play guitar yet, I'm still learning, so I had a guy to play exactly what I played on the piano. So did I make that music, or did he?
You did.
You did, you hired him as a session
Did you pay?
guitarist.
I didn't have to, it was friendship.
But you were the writer. You created.
Yeah, I knew what I wanted to hear, I just didn't know how to do it.
But
Did you pay him?
No, sir.
Well,
then he's got ownership to that.
Okay,
If you pay him, then
work for hire,
work for hire.
gotcha.
And see, these simple questions are things that you have to really think about, because again, this entire business is about contracts. This entire business is about rights and licensing. And if you don't understand your rights, then you are making foolish mistakes every day that will come back and haunt you in the future. Because I didn't know is no excuse when that song is out there and all of a sudden it's going viral and it's making it's getting a lot of hits overnight, and then you're trying to catch up, and by the time you catch up, you've lost a lot of rights because everybody else is coming in saying, hey, I created that, somebody else has beat you to the copyright registration, and somebody's claiming that, oh, there's a sample in there, and so therefore I own the whole song because you didn't get clearance to use the sample. And these are issues that you deal with every day when songs, because in this day and age, you never know what is gonna make a song pop. And the interesting thing now is you have what people call DIY, is do it your own. And you have so many tools at your disposal because of technology and because of the internet and because of the worldwide marketplace. And if we go back in the day, if you were a US-based artist, generally what you were looking at was a marketplace that was based upon the population of the United States, maybe Canada and Mexico, North America. But you think about, maybe 300 and some million, right, for the US. But with the tools that you have available to you now is that you're talking an entire worldwide marketplace with several billion people. And that makes a big difference, because when we talk about the change in landscape of the music business, let me ask you a question. When is the last time any of you went out and bought a physical CD?
Online.
Long time ago.
I still like CDs, so I'll buy it from Amazon.
I love this guy.
But if I ask, if this room was full of 21-year-olds and under, and I asked that question, out of this entire room, maybe one person would raise their hand. And so the landscape has really shifted and it's really changed. And what you have to look at today is, what are the revenue streams and how do I make money off of this? And the dichotomy is that in the early music business, you were making, if you were a successful artist, you were making a lot of money off of record royalties. Today, you will make almost nothing off of record royalties. And what your song does is just an advertisement. You put that song out there so that it can help elevate your other income streams. And those other income streams are, if people are listening to your music, then you can go on tour and you can do live shows and you're gonna generate cash that way. Or you can do a merch and create your own merchandise. And that's a way. But if you don't have the song that's bringing value to the brand, then nobody's gonna come and see your show, nobody's gonna buy your merch. Then you have music publishing, which is very important as one of the major income streams. And the music publishing is something that is really important for you to understand, but we have very limited time to go over the entire complex marketplace and the complexity of the music business. So the one thing before I forget it is that I'm going to say that you need to educate yourself and you need to read. Has anyone ever heard of an author named Donald Passman? Okay. I would recommend that everybody, when you leave here, if you have a serious aspiration of having a career in the music business, go look up Donald Passman, and he has a book called Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business. And it's written in layman's terms, it's written very simply, but it gives you a lot of the basic, simple concepts of what you need to look for on the business aspects of music. And if you don't understand those simple, basic concepts, then you're looking for a world of trouble as you go forward in your music business. So before I keep going, you had a question.
But I think he
Yeah,
had a question.
yeah. All right. One thing is, do you have to get like every song copyrighted on your every time you make a song?
Okay. I did the guitar track for your song, right? You played it on piano. I got a copy of it. Somehow I got it to Beyonce. I got it copyrighted. Now she's singing it. You know it's your song. I got it copyrighted. I didn't put you on it. Whose song is it? Because we didn't do no business. Every time you work with somebody, do the business first. Every time you work with somebody, do the business first. Every time you work with somebody, do the business first.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay? Because, so we decide, look, you hiring, you say, I'm hiring you to play this guitar part and sign this. And you give him $25 or $50 and it's over with. That's done deal.
But if you don't do that, and then that song goes viral, and the next thing you know, it's the biggest song.
Right, you mad at me?
there. And then you know what happens when it's the biggest song out there? Then money starts flowing to you from places you never imagined. All of a sudden, you get a call from Pepsi. You get a call from Toyota. You get a call from Geico. And when they call you, it's big money.
It just seems like that stuff you get, in the beginning, copyrights can get expensive. It's like you're getting every song copyrighted. I know that bill can run up.
Well, no, it's not like that. You can go on you can go online, and for $35 you can register a whole catalog of songs.
Oh,
Okay, you can register like 40 songs in one registration, and it costs you $35 or $50, and you can get protection for all of those. But look at it this way. It's an investment. You think about all of the time and effort that you spend, the late nights, the times during the day where you're sitting there working hard on your lyrics, on your songs, on your creations, and then you don't want to protect it. So it's very much worthwhile. And other simple agreements, performer agreements, work for hire agreements, you can go on and do research yourself and put simple agreements together. You can go find them, but if you don't trust that, then call me, call an entertainment attorney, go in, make the investment, because this is your career. Because when I said that they start calling when a song goes viral, when they call, you're talking 6 figures automatically, 7 figures, and sometimes 8 figures. All right? So was that $35 that you put into protecting your work worth that big payoff? Because if you don't do it, then somebody else is going to swoop in and steal your stuff, and then you're just going to be fighting from here until the sun goes down, and entertainment litigators are expensive. very expensive. You're talking $1,000 an hour, okay? And when you get into big litigation, you can spend millions just on attorney's fees, okay?
You don't know. You don't know how much. Go ahead. You don't know how much time they put into it. They can say they put 40 hours into it and put 2 hours into it. Hey, you don't know how much time they put into it. But the other thing I wanted to say was, you don't know what's gonna hit. 90% of the songs that I got on records, I didn't think that track was worth nothing. The tracks that I loved never did make it. Maybe one of them. It's always stuff, so you don't know what's gonna hit. The next thing is, get it out there. By hook or by crook. One thing about people in the South, they're not aggressive, they laid back. People up north are aggressive because they hungry. They know what it's like to eat government cheese. They know what it's like not to have heat in the apartment. They hungry. They want that track. So they going to do whatever it takes to get ahead of you. They are aggressive. You got to be aggressive. You can't be chilling thinking, oh, well, whenever it comes, it comes. If you want it, you got to go get it. Nobody's going to give this to you. So you got to go get it, give it up. You got to get in the mix, and you got to get with somebody who's relevant. Don't get with no old fogey who don't know the business no more, like me. I can manage you. Don't go for the old guy that's talking about he can manage you, because he's not relevant. You got to get with somebody who's relevant, who's in right now. That's who's going to get you in. You got to get with R. Kelly's management. You got to get with Beyonce's management. Hey, guess what? God created us to do what? Create.
That's right.
That's what we've been called. We are creators. You can create whatever. What's holding you from going to New York tomorrow? You. If you really needed to get there, somebody said, I need your song. Wouldn't you create a way to get there? That's all we do is create. That's what the music industry is about, creating.
Oh, okay. So my name is Christina McCain. I actually want to have my own music and entertainment company, and I'm actually trying to be on the business side. I actually want to be an A&R because I believe I have a talent, an ear for talent. So on the question for contracts, what's y'all's opinion on like independent labels and how technology is around us now and how accessible it is to?
Well, again, I spoke about technology, and I spoke about the internet, and I spoke about a worldwide marketplace, and I spoke about and maybe I didn't, but the internet has become a great equalizer. You don't need major labels anymore. You don't need people to pay for your pressing and distribution because you're not selling vinyl or you're not selling CDs. It's all digital. So a lot of what you needed a major label for 10 years ago is non-existent now. And I think that it's really important that as entrepreneurs, as creators, as business people, is that you create your own. That's what it's about. Create your own business, because and this goes back to the very simple basics of copyright. There are different types of copyrights and different entities on those copyrights. So if you are a creator and a writer and you write the songs, what you're going to file for is a performing arts copyright, meaning that you guys wrote the song. But there's something else called a sound recording copyright. And typically, back in the day where you signed to a label, your record label owned the sound recording copyright. And the two together are very important because the master that song is on can never be used anywhere unless the owner of the sound recording copyright had to sign off on it. That's the label. And then the owner of the performing arts copyright had to sign off on it. And if both of those entities didn't sign off on it, the song couldn't be used. So guess what? In today's age, you can create your own record label. You own both sides of the song. You own the sound recording copyright, and you own the performing arts copyright if you do the paperwork, which means that if someone comes to you to use that song, then you no longer have to give up 50% of the income to your label. Because why? You are the label. You own that sound recording copyright and you own that master. And it's important because I represent artists now that are prolific writers, and they sign contracts with a label that really does nothing at all, other than the fact that the label invested a little money and got the ownership of those masters. So this artist is making jingles and he's getting his songs all over the place, and he's getting, sync licenses, 500,000 here, 100,000 there, 400,000 here. But guess what? Half of that is going to a label that isn't doing anything but sitting back and collecting money.
So is that where is that where multiple incomes and streams come into play when it comes to because I've heard a lot of independent labels don't have a lot of money to produce and give out content. So is that where I don't know.
Well, let's put it this way. Right now, with technology and all the tools and everything you have at your disposal, you can start a record label and you can put out a record, or you can put out an album if you have $1,000. Okay? You gotta be smart with it, and you gotta skimp, and you gotta call on some friends, and you gotta call on some creators, and you gotta have people to help you out. But you don't have to be a multimillionaire, you don't have to be rich to do this. If you're a creator, save up your pennies. You guys are at one of the most creative institutions in this country. Right here, North Carolina A&T, you've got the smartest people in the world that go to school here. So there's students here that can create the best website that you've ever seen. Get out there and network with them. Find them. There's people here that can create the best music video that you've ever seen. There's people here that can write or play the guitar, or play the drums. This is a creative element that you are in, and all of these creative people are around you. Take advantage of it and put it together and know what you're doing. But when you get that all put together, the value is that as the record label, you own it, and you get to determine how it's used, okay? So I don't know if I answered your question specifically, but a lot of independent labels don't have money, but money isn't always the only thing that's needed, and sometimes it's not even needed if you have great writers and you have great content and you're a hustler. You can get out there and make things happen, because the people in this business that really control how music is distributed and who really control how money is made, and the gatekeepers for the film companies and the gatekeepers for the mixed playlist and the creative playlist that you hear on Spotify and you hear on the streaming companies, if they hear a good song, that's what they care about. But they can't use that song if you as a business person didn't take care of your business and you're able to give them assurances and warranties and representations that this song is free and clear and that you can license it. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for Mr. Watkins as well as yourself. So since you have Mike, I'll ask you first. Submissions for documentaries and things like that. How do you handle submissions?
Thanks, because that tailors into something I was going to try to blend together, because no matter if you had labels put $1 million into your recording or you did it in your bedroom, the work that has to be done is on you to connect with an audience. So your question one more time?
Submissions for documentaries, movies.
Okay, so yeah, my point there is you're going to have to do some hard work, and you mentioned paying some dues differently than we paid our dues, but it's just, there is no shortcut. How many $10 million recording albums or whatever we call them these days, how many $50 million movies come out and flop? Because you didn't know about it, you didn't care about it, you weren't sure what it was about, what that artist is about. There used to be a time where your music could be discovered in the club or hear it on the radio. Now there are millions of tracks that your music can get lost in. So you have to do the groundwork, and I mentioned earlier, building audience. That's what building, it's like building a house. You have to take it one brick at a time. Tommy before mentioned, and again, we have technology and opportunities that present themselves. You used to have to, again, hope and pray that your song got on the radio, you got booked in a club, or got booked to perform somewhere. This, what was it called, Sofa Sounds that he mentioned, where folks are setting up house performances. So you could, build a relationship, get connected, begin to build an audience, and that audience wants to hear you. So that even starts to diminish the threat of your song being stolen, because they want to hear you sing it or perform it. So as you build that audience, that's one piece. You mentioned documentary film, that's something I do a lot of. And what I have to do for our business is I go to film festivals. There are organizations that are made up of filmmakers, people interested in learning about filmmaking. There are film festivals where independent films, I just was at Sundance earlier this year. That's one of the largest. Some people debate whether it's independent these days because a lot of the major studios are behind it. But you have to go where these folks are. And the first year I went, I didn't all of a sudden get a lot of business. It's about forming those genuine relationships, talking to people in the coffee shops, building the relationships with those filmmakers who say, yeah, that was my film that screened last night, but I've got this other thing I'm working on. And then that's where you offer them your music. Maybe at no cost up front. You take care of the legalities and make sure they know you own it. But you may have to allow people to put that in their independent film, or there's so many, again, back when I was growing up, there were just a handful of television networks, and that's where shows were. Now